Well, the next case I've got this morning looks like quite an interesting one. It's a cat called Tommy, and it says on the information that we get through for the consultation, tail been trapped, I think, no movement to tail, and that sounds a bit suspicious. Sounds like it could be some damage, perhaps from an accident, possibly from a car, to the tail. It's quite common in cats, so it'd be interesting to see quite how serious it is. So this is Tommy, and we think he's hurt his tail, is that right? And what happened to him?
I just noticed it, but you just don't seem to have much movement in there.
Right, yeah, I mean it looks completely floppy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And have you noticed any other symptoms? Is he still eating? And
he don't really eat that much, but he was sick and he had a really bad belly the other day. He had diarrhoea.
The most likely cause of something like this is some kind of injury, and just looking at that, he's good cat. I mean, he's got appears to have no muscle tone there at all the way from here, and well, actually, yeah, I can feel a lump there, which I suspect is a fracture. It feels to me that he's had a definitely some kind of traumatic incident, because there's also it's quite knobbly and down there. Yeah. And this is a bit of a guess, but what can happen in cats is if they're quick enough to avoid a car, they run along, a car comes along, and the car goes over their tail, and as they run off, it kind of pulls their tail, and it dislocates the bones at the back of the tail here. I suspect that's what's happened, and unfortunately, the most likely outcome is that we'll have to amputate his tail. What I would recommend is that we took an X-ray of his base of tail, and then we could see how serious it was. If it looks like there's no chance of it recovering because there's a complete fracture, then it would make sense to remove his tail at the same time as we did the X-ray. Right. If it looks like actually it's not completely out of place, there's a hope, then we could leave it and give him a week or two and see what response he made. We'll get him fixed up for you. Okay, thank you. We're just going to anaesthetise him, and then the first thing we're going to do is take an X-ray and see if we can assess the extent of the damage to his tail and check for other injuries, particularly with his pelvis and that area. So Tommy's asleep now, and we can have a better examination of him, and he's lost some fur on that leg and down there. So his nails look okay, but there's a big swelling at the base of his tail there, which feels like a quite serious fracture or dislocation of his tail, which is why it's gone so floppy. And then at the end of his tail, that's all kind of fused together, which might be an old injury, or is possibly somehow connected to this as well. But I can't feel any other injuries of his pelvis, which is encouraging, because that would make his injuries a lot more serious. But as it is, I think the likely outcome is he's going to end up being a cat with no tail.
Wait for the other one. There you go.
It's Joe Ingalls here from Vets Clinic. Yeah, he's fine, yes. Just to let you know, we've done the X-rays and had a further look at his tail, and we are of the opinion it makes sense to amputate it, because there's quite a clear area of fracture and dislocation. So there is a small chance that if left he might regain feeling, but it's a pretty small chance, and I think it just makes sense while he's asleep to do that, because he'll cope fine without the tail. So that would be our advice. So if that's okay, we'll go ahead and do that. And then we'll give you a ring once he's all round and everything, and organised for when you can come in and pick him up. Okay, see you later, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Right, so the X-rays have confirmed what we expected, really, that he's got quite a nasty dislocation of the tail. It's sort of gone out of place and come back in. There's quite a lot of swelling and bony damage. So I think it's highly unlikely he's ever going to regain feeling and motion in his tail. So the best thing is to amputate his tail. So that's what we're about to do. So he will go home minus his tail, but it will reduce the pain, and long term it's going to be a lot better for him. Okay, well that's the operation finished. So Tommy's tail is now no longer attached to him, but he'll be an awful lot better off without it. Oh, no tail is definitely better than a useless tail. So hopefully he'll recover fine now.